Are you ready to join me in transforming fear to freedom? That's the objective of the show. Are you ready to explore with me and my guests? Are you ready to get into the deep and play? This is where it's at, and that's what it's all about. No medical advice here. Use discernment and decide for yourself if the information is right for you.
And welcome back to Let's Get Real Chattin with Catherine and our regular series, Go Deep or Go Home, with Debbi Colleen. And Debbi Colleen and I always play in the deep, so we just decided to call it such. And tonight is going to be no different, and we are going to be exploring conscious creation. And we're going to be talking about affirmations, co-creation, curiosity. And some of those things they seem so obvious, and some of them are so interesting to explore into, and that's the reason why we're having this conversation. A lot of people talk about affirmations today, and I would love to explore with Debbi and find out, how they work, what's the point of them. Some people are just saying words, and they don't have any real meaning for them, and they don't really understand them. They're hearing about it. Affirmations is a word that's used a lot these days, so we're going to get into that. And let's just talk about co-creation. It's another area that is so interesting, and it takes us to a different kind of looking at our lives. The concept of co-creation is so complex and deep, and I think it's going to be fun. And, of course, curiosity, well, that goes without saying. I'm constantly in that state, and I think that it's healthy, but we'll find out more about that and how that works with conscious creation of our lives. And that's with Debbi Colleen tonight. If you want to know more about Debbi Colleen, go to the guest page on lgrcc.com, and you can read all about her, get her connection to the Starseed Blueprint website, which is Debbi's own website, where she works privately with people. She does workshops. She works distantly, so you can connect with her no matter where it is you're listening from. She's on Skype and so forth. Debbi uses the Chinese 5-element theory. That's what she based her Starseed Blueprint on, and that's one of the tools she uses. But she's an intuitive. She uses tarot cards, astrology charts, numerology grids, and all kinds of other mediums. So we're going to get into this conversation with Debbi right now and see what's up. So, Debbi, good evening. Thank you for joining me once again. Go deep or go home.
Hi, Catherine. Great to be here. Yes. Well, it's
always
easy
fun
to tell.
when I say that. I always laugh because to me that's just that's the fun of exploration, Let's just go there, and when we're done, the party's over.
Or maybe the next one's just beginning. You never know.
That's endings and beginnings. That's how it always is. So, a big topic, though. That whole even when we say that, creating conscious creation. I think there's a lot of people that really do say, you know what, I am conscious. I'm already conscious. What are you talking about, conscious creation? So what do you think about that? What do we mean when we're talking about that? Are people really doing things? Are we really conscious? And I don't mean, this isn't about judgment or pointing fingers. We're just exploring here. So everybody relax.
I think that there's such a combination of factors when we say we're already conscious, because the universe is always expanding, always contracting. I mean, how can we ever really know it all? Because we're making it up as we go along based on what we made up before. Mm-hmm. It's never ending. This is a never ending story, and it will just keep growing, and we'll all keep adding our part to it because we're all unique individuals. We're all of us having our own exploration of the universe and our own context, our own meaning. So we can be conscious, but what I say about conscious creation can open up a whole new doorway of understanding for another person. What they say can open it up for me. It's a really magical topic because it is, creation keeps creating itself.
Well, and the thing is, I think, what's so much fun about understanding this is I will just speak for myself, but when when we're born, we come into our families and we're kind of taught to, I don't know what the word is, but it kind of silences our perception of being able to consciously create our world. And we adopt a lot of other people's programming and their, this is the way it is. It's always been this way in this family. This is how it is, and then extend that out to the world. This is how it always is in this country or this, climate or this whatever, religious beliefs, social beliefs. And to me, that's where we become rather almost not robotic, but kind of.
Well, that's what we call mass consciousness, which is kind of that lower level of vibration where everybody can sink into and bounce out of. But it's kind of the the agreed upon, the things that nobody can actually agree upon, but we sort of agree to disagree.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that level where, until we're, well, in this particular time and place on the planet and this realm of Earth, we're just coming out of a particularly dark time, and we're not really in the light. So what we can say about conscious creation is there's a lot of space to grow.
Which is nice.
Getting in on the ground floor.
Yeah. Well, and, it's interesting because we're seeing, I think, a real shift in the numbers of people who are stepping outside of that collective consciousness, that common, what has been accepted for eons, and you see it happening especially with the younger generation, but we're seeing it with a lot of people where they just come in and go, you know what, I'm sorry, I don't believe that. And I noticed that the reaction of people who are still quite submersed in, it's always been this way, I am an authority, I know best, I know what's best for you because I am authority, or I know better, or, that they are totally taken aback because they don't understand why just saying I am a lawyer, a doctor, a policeman, a whatever, some politician, just saying that years ago was enough to make another person say, oh, well, if the doctor said it or, the whatever teacher said it, then it must be true.
That's how we've been brought up. That's what we're brainwashed to be. It's easy to.
But it's not working anymore. Like, that's what I mean.
No,
it's
not.
And that's what's so.
There's a lot of factors, and that one of the biggest one is that because the vibration is raised so much on the planet, we've got so many young people coming in who've never been unfree, who've never been domesticated, who've never been brainwashed. They're, they may not be here for their first time, but they're not here to follow along like sheep by any means. But that doesn't mean that they're coming here to fight anything either.
No.
That's the kind of this paradigm we get into where, the opposite of being sheep is to be rebellious. And actually, I don't see that with the young people. They've come here to explore. They're coming here for an adventure. They're coming here to remind us how it is that we can consciously create our lives in our own unique ways without having to go be in opposition to other people or be in opposition to what is already there. It doesn't have to be that way. But because, we have this either-or brain setup and language and expectation, the simple answer is we jump from, let's all just do what we're told, to, let's all not do what we're told and deliberately go against what we're told. Neither of them is a very healthy end of the spectrum to be in.
I find it really, I find it really interesting as we're watching this shift, and I think, that's part of the reason I wanted to have this conversation for, sheer enjoyment of the exploration, of course, but also for other people who are kind of wondering or noticing these situations where, like me, for many of them, I think we've kind of stepped outside of the old paradigm in a way. And so when we're facing people who are still really clinging to, but I am and I do know the best, I know what's best for you, and we're not really fighting, we're not feeling the need to say no. Well, we might say no, but we're not feeling the need to fight. That's what I'm noticing, even in myself. And because, I have had, lots of debates and in political realms and so forth, and it was very natural for me. I'm not saying that I can't do it, but I really noticed that I have no desire. None at all. It takes up
a lot of time. It takes up a lot of time and energy.
Yeah.
It takes us out of the flow of peace. It takes us out of the flow of creation. It's totally unnecessary because people aren't going to really believe what we say when we argue with them. They're not going to, because they're, if they're having an opinion about something, the only thing that's going to change that opinion is their experience with, divinity giving them opportunity to explore something, or them seeing somebody else do something that they didn't think was possible,
But, and also in the midst of the discussion, like I do like to discuss and explore for sure, but when I notice that it becomes somebody here is wrong and somebody here is right and everybody else's opinions don't matter, that's when I realize they aren't going to, I'm not looking to change my opinion. I'm open-minded to hear what they have to say, but when I hear you're wrong and I'm right, then I totally am not interested, because I can feel that there isn't, I don't want to convince anybody. I just like the idea of being open-minded enough to say, well, what if? What if something else is possible? Or have you even thought about this or looked at this? And when people are so, no, you know what? No, you can't even, it's so funny. Yeah. It's like their no is, that's all they know how to say. They just don't want to hear. And so, but they continue to argue.
Think too, that a lot of people are not in that mode of discussion. That's a certain kind of learning style that not everybody shares. So a lot of, some people learn by discussing ideas, When I was a teacher, we studied the 9 intelligences that, the number keeps expanding. And that's one, it works for, some of the intelligences, but there are some people that just doesn't work for them. They're not going to glean much from discussion. There's a lot of people who need hands-on exploration to learn. Other people who need to definitely have, total quiet and explore things in their own mind. Some people need to get in the flow of creativity to allow, big understandings to come to them. So it's not necessarily that people aren't willing to go there with you. A lot of it might be that it's just not some people's learning style, and they can be really uncomfortable with it and see it as counterproductive, or get caught up in argumentativeness because
that's the thing. It's not that I get that, and actually I don't actually find that I learn a lot through discussion like that, as much as I do like to explore. But when it comes to discussions that are more about being right or wrong, then I don't find that I'm not open to that then, because I find that as soon as I hear the attack or the I don't know what it is. It's a certain tone. It's like, you're stupid if you don't agree with me. And it comes across.
There's a lot of fear that comes in that kind of reaction, and that anger that people have who haven't healed that place, that egocentric child place of expecting that there is one right way to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a huge learning for this planet to accept that everybody has a different experience of life. And we might know that in the abstract, but most people are, have been brought up in an education system that comes from a history where education taught us from a maybe not an outward saying that, okay, there's this body of knowledge and everybody can have it and everybody can know the same thing and be the same way, and also have a kind of culture that embraces the concepts of, replacement parts and cogs and, fitting into your place. We're not very far from that kind of a culture that, it's sort of worked. But nowadays it can't work because we have an exploding information on every front. There's exploding knowledge and information. But it also there's just that misunderstanding that we aren't all the same, and there is no rightness in being all the same. In fact, we came here to be quite unique. And unique doesn't mean difficult and argumentative and fighting. And it doesn't mean sheep getting, going along, everybody agreeing on the same things. In fact, we're moving into a time on the planet where we are heading towards the place where all of our basic technologies support us in a life of adventure and exploration in whatever way we decide that's going to be. It might not be fighting crocodiles. It probably isn't fighting
Hopefully
crocodiles
not.
for most people. But, it's whatever each person in their uniqueness chooses to explore in their life. And it's not a linear exploration. And it's not a linear kind of understanding of where everybody's standing in this line, each person doing their own thing, is very, very different. And that comes with very different mindsets, too. But at some point, we have to recognize, and we are recognizing that there are basics for what we need to survive, and that a lot of that can be handled by technology. And there's basics for what we can have, we can create within our culture in a physical way for people to be safe and for people to have, the life of their dreams. Recognizing that everybody's dream is different.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for the first part of our exploration with Debbi Colleen in Go Deep or Go Home. And I just thought I would break it up into smaller portions so that you could have more opportunities to sort of review parts and digest and so forth. So we're talking about conscious creating. In the second part, we're going to discuss affirmations and more about conscious creating and some of the tools and why they work and so forth. So, all right, until next time, take care. Wasn't that amazing? Thank you to my guests for sharing with us today. Thank you for watching. Feel free to share the link. You can join us for live shows by going to letsgetrealchattinwithcatherine.com and listen to the replays from the show page, preview guests, and explore links to our Facebook fan page, WordPress blog, and more. We are creating an exquisite world. Until next time, take care.